Morning, grade 8s. You are in high school now, so it's a whole new experience. Suddenly you've got more subjects, more homework than you ever had in primary school. So sometimes it feels that you just can't cope with everything. So it's very important that you use time management to protect yourself, that you don't sit and work from the morning to the evening. So what you have to do is, with time management, you must time yourself when you do work so that you don't use too much time. So for instance, the accounting teacher will not give you homework that's going to take more than half an hour to do. So when you do the homework, you must time yourself and you must do it in that 30 minutes. So don't go and sit and take 2 hours to do work that you're supposed to be in 30 minutes, because then you're going to sit and work the whole day. So you must concentrate to write quicker than you did in primary school and to increase the amount of work that you can do in that specific time. Okay, the second thing that you have to do is concentration. This is a very important factor that causes a lot of problems. So what you do is you sit and you do one question for 10 minutes, then you first look on social media, what's going on, then you do work for 10 minutes, then you go and drink water, and so on. So it means your brain is never concentrating for an hour non-stop. Now you're writing a test in about 4 weeks on accounting, and that test is an hour test. So that means you must be able to concentrate for an hour. This is not suddenly going to get right in the test. You have to practice that before the time. So when you do your homework, first of all, you decide, I'm not allowed to take more than half an hour. So I must increase the speed with which I work, and I have to practice that every day so that my brain and my hand will manage it, that I can do it in the same time. And secondly, you must increase your concentration, because in the test you have to be able to concentrate for an hour non-stop. So what you have to do is you must switch off your telephone, no TV, nothing, and you must write your homework in an hour so that you can concentrate for an hour. Then you exercise your brain to increase your concentration, and then by the time that you get to test 1, you will be able to concentrate for an hour. So these two things are two of the main reasons why people don't finish in time, and secondly, they lose a lot of marks because they don't finish in time. So you must exercise this before you get to your first test. Okay, then for task 1, it's very important that you must know all the different words, the meanings of it, of all the different assets, liabilities, equity, everything, so that you know exactly what it means. So for instance, assets equals equity plus liabilities. Now you must know what equity is and what assets are. Otherwise you're never going to be able to do this. So just remember that when you do something, if I change something in the assets, I also have to change it on the other side of the equation, either equity or liabilities. So if I think of assets, I can split it in 2. Assets is something that belongs to the business because they bought it in the past, and what will happen in the future, there will be an income of money out of this assets. And we divide the assets in 2 sections: non-current assets that means assets that will be for more than 12 months in the future. Okay, so non-current assets are things that we're going to use for a long period of time. Now look at the drawing that I'm making so that you can remember this easier. Here's my piece of land, and I built a house for myself on this land. And what do I have in this house? I have furniture, I have machinery like the washing machine, tumble dryer, and I have equipment. So that is the things that's inside my house. What is on the outside of the house? A vehicle. So it means if you want to know what is the non-current assets, you think of this picture and you say, it's my land and buildings with the things that's in the house and what is outside. Okay, then under non-current assets could also be investments. So that means when I invest money in a financial institution for more than a year in the future so that I can earn more interest. Okay, the second one, so this is the non-current assets. The current assets is less than 12 months in the future. Okay, so if I look at the current assets, in the first place, when I buy inventory to sell, every time when I buy inventory, it increases. Every time that I sell it, it decreases. So it means inventory as a current asset changes all the time within 12 months. Then we have debtors. Okay, debtors are people we sell to them. So that means we sell to them and they owe us. So what will this be? We will receive money from them. So we sell the goods on credit to them, then they owe us the money, and we will have an arrangement with them that they have to pay at the end of the month, or we give them 3 months to pay, or 6 months. Okay. Every time when I sell, it increases. When they return goods or they pay, the debtors will decrease. The third one is my money in the bank. So every time when I put in, it increases. When I take money out, it decreases. And you can also have money in petty cash. So bank charges is very expensive. So what businesses do is they take one check, say for instance for 1,000 rand, and they withdraw at the bank 1,000 rand. Then they put it in a petty cash tin, and every time when they have to pay small amounts, they take it out of this petty cash. And then we also have cash float. Now cash float is the money in the till. So at the end of the day, they remove all the money out of the till and they put it in the safe. And then they will have money that they will give to the people working at the tills, so that if customers come in, they will have change to give to the customers when they pay for goods. Okay, so that is my assets. And you must know what is the difference between a non-current asset and a current asset. So the big difference is this is bought to use over a long period, normally more than 12 months a year. Current asset changes all the time within 12 months. Okay, then you also have to know what is liabilities. Now liabilities is when I owe money to someone or a financial institution. Okay, so the liabilities we can also split between non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Okay, now what you must remember with non-current assets, it takes more than 12 months to change, and non-current liabilities is also, it will take more than 12 months in the future to pay. Okay, I can obtain a loan, for instance, to pay a car that I buy or furniture. Then for a car, for instance, in South Africa, you get 54 months to pay. Or you can get a mortgage loan. So that is when I buy a house, for instance, or a building for a business, and you give your building as security to obtain this loan. In South Africa, you have between 20 and 30 years to pay off the mortgage. So this means we borrowed money, we owe money, and we will pay it over a period more than 12 months in the future. Okay, then I get current liabilities. Now, in current assets, we say it will change within 12 months. In current liabilities, change within 12 months. So in assets and in liabilities, the non-current is more than 12 months, the current is within 12 months. Okay, then under the current assets, we can have creditors. So it means we buy goods on credit and we have to pay them for the goods that we bought on credit. So this is a liability to me because the money will flow out of the business in the future. If I look at the other current liability is, for instance, a bank overdraft. That is when I take more money out of the bank than what I put into the bank. So I can't just do this. I have to make an arrangement with the bank that I'm allowed to take more money out, and they will specify a specific amount that I'm allowed to do. And I will pay interest when my account is in a bank overdraft. Okay, then it's owner's equity. Now it's very important that you must understand what is the meaning of owner's equity. That is what belongs to the owner. That is the amount that he put into the business, that he contributed. This is the amount that he can lose if this business goes insolvent. Or you can say that is actually the amount that the business owes the owner. Now, if the owner contributes capital, every time when he contributes, it means that the capital increases and your owner's equity will increase. If the owner decides to take money or goods or, for instance, old assets, computers or whatever, out of the business, then he's got less money in the business and the owner's equity will go down. Now, the whole purpose of a business is to make a profit. So we will have income, and income will increase the profit of the business, and the owner gets the profit. So it means every time when we have income and the profit increases, the owner's equity will increase. If we pay expenses, it means that I will make less profit, so the profit will decrease, and that means the owner will have less profit and he's going to get less money out of the business, so his owner's equity will decrease. So it's very important to understand all these different concepts to be able to do accounting. Okay, so if we look at the accounting cycle, that means the order in which transactions happen in the business. So in the accounting cycle, what happens first in a business? The first thing that will happen is when a customer comes in and we sell to them, we will give them an invoice. If they come and pay me, we will give them a receipt. And if they put the money with the EFT into our bank account, we will see on the bank statement what happened, how much money he put in. So what are all these things? That is our source documents. So the first thing that I will do in a business is we will complete source documents. Now, if we have these documents, we have to keep a record of everything that happened into the business. So the first thing that the accountant will do, he will compare journals. So a cash receipts journal will be opened for all money received. A cash payments journal will be opened for all money paid out. And then every month they will have a new journal. So it means every month of the year, so by the end of the year, you've completed 12 journals for the 12 months in the year. Now, in the journals, I will show all the expenses and all the assets that I buy. So in this journal, I can determine, if I look at these 12 journals, how much did I pay exactly for insurance or for rent or salaries or whatever. So the third step is to take these journals and record it into ledger accounts. So it means I go to all 12 my journals and I open, for instance, one account for insurance, and I will post out of each journal when I paid insurance into the insurance account, so that we will have the 12 payments in one account. Or I can open an account for, say for instance, assets, fixed assets, and then I go to the journals, and from the journals I show how much did we spend on equipment, for instance, and we bought equipment 3 times in the year. So all 3 the entries is done in your ledger. Although it's 12 months, we only bought it for 3 months, and you can add up by the end of the year how much money did you actually spend on the fixed assets. After we've completed the journal accounts, we have to close them and determine what is the balance in each account. Now, to ensure that we recorded everything correctly, that we didn't make mistakes, we will draw up a trial balance. And in this trial balance, I will show all my expenses and my assets on the debit side, and I will show all my liabilities and income and capital on the credit side. So if I didn't make any mistakes, the debit side of the trial balance and the credit side will be the same. And that will tell me that I didn't make any mistakes. Okay, now what is the purpose of a business? It is to make a profit. So we must have financial statements where we can determine what is the profit that we made and what is our assets and what is the liability, so that we can determine what is the financial position of the business at the end of the year. So the first financial statement that we will open will be the income statement. In the income statement, I will record all the income and I will record all the expenses. So if I subtract the expenses from the income, I can determine how much profit I made. Then the other financial statement is the balance sheet. In the balance sheet, I will record all my assets. At the top part of the balance sheet and the bottom part of the balance sheet, I will show the liabilities and I will show the equity. So how much money the owner has in the business at the end of the year. So the assets must equal the equity and liabilities. Otherwise, you made a mistake somewhere. Now, what is the use of these financial statements? I want to see what is the profit, and I will go and I will analyze and I will interpret. So that means in the income statement, the income, I will look and see, okay, my profit is not good enough. I want more profit. So there's only two things that I can do. Either I must increase my income or I must decrease my expenses. So that is when I analyze it to see what is the problem. And then I must interpret it to see where is the actual problem. Is it possible for me to increase the income? No, it's not. So that means I have to decrease my expenses. And then I have to start looking at the different expenses and determine what I can do to decrease the expenses. So say for instance the rent is very high, then I can determine whether I could perhaps move to different premises where I will pay less rent so that I will make a bigger profit. So you will go and you will analyze all these figures in the income statement, and then you will interpret it to just make decisions for the future so that you can make a bigger profit. And the balance sheet, you will do the same. You will look at your assets, you will look at the liabilities and the equity. Now, say for instance, I look at the liabilities and equity and I see that the liabilities are quite high in comparison with the equity. It means that I borrow a lot of money, and on borrowed money we have to pay interest that decreases my profit. So now I must interpret this information and make a decision. How can I decrease these liabilities or increase the equity so that my balance sheet will still balance? So if it's possible, it would be better if the owner can contribute more capital, so he must look at that. Will it be better for him to contribute more capital where he doesn't have to pay interest on the loan because his liabilities are very high? So if you look at the task that you have to do within the next 2 weeks, it means that you have to make sure that you understand all the concepts exactly, what they mean, what you do with them, why do you use them, so that when you do the task you will be able to do it properly and understand what the questions means, so that you really understand these concepts. These concepts are very important. If you understand this work in the first 2 chapters of your book, accounting will be very easier for the rest of the year and up to grade 12. If you don't understand the basic concepts, you will have problems with accounting all the time. So it's worth spending time on chapter 1 and 2, go through all the pages, ensure that you understand everything. If you don't understand something, you must ask the teacher so that she can explain that specific concept to you again, to ensure that you understand it properly and that you will be able to do the work better later in the year. If you really spend a lot of time on this project so that you can understand what you're doing, you are actually studying for your test that's in 4 weeks' time. So it means that when you get to the test, you don't have to work so hard because you already know the concepts and you understand the concepts. So it will be much easier and will put less stress on you if you can understand these things in the task that you're doing and not see it for the first time when you do the test. So remember, when you do the work, look at time management. Don't spend too much time on it so that you can learn to work quicker, that your hand can write quicker, and you must spend time on concentration. So make sure the first time, for instance, you concentrate for a half an hour. Then the next time you concentrate for 40 minutes. Then you concentrate for 50, then you concentrate for 60, so that you can teach your brain to concentrate for 60 minutes, because that is the time that you will write the test, and that is required, that you must be able to record for 60 minutes. I hope this helped you to see that time management and concentration and the topics, and you must understand what all the concepts mean to make it easier for yourself for the rest of the year. Good luck with the task. I will be with you in a week again to prepare you for your first test.